Welcome to Studio Chatter. Can you believe it? The blossoms are out and we can enjoy the warm sunshine.
Oh, those blossoms make my heart happy.
Yes.
I know, and it happened kind of like that.
I know, like within 2 to 3 days.
Yes, it did. Yeah, we got super sunny and then a little bit cloudy. But did you guys watch the eclipse?
No.
No?
So I tried.
Okay.
I tried. There wasn't really anything exciting for me to see per se, but
Okay.
my husband actually flew to Indiana, and
He did?
Yes, so we have pictures.
For the eclipse?
No, we didn't.
He did.
I've heard of people doing that.
So,
I was
did he
just
have-
going to ask that.
There were other things to do, but we left spring break and left him in Las Vegas to fly to his family to catch
so he
the
has
eclipse
family.
together.
Okay.
Yes, and then he moved on to Virginia for work. But
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
That is so
he's
cute.
very much into that. Like we ordered the glasses to make sure that they were in his bag, to make sure that the rest of the family had them. So we actually have some really, really cool pictures. I have another aunt that lives in Texas, so she got some really, really cool pictures. So if it's your thing, like people are super into it and
Yeah.
travel miles and miles and drive.
I love it just because it intrigues me, makes me feel like, I don't know, there's something bigger out there. The planets do move.
Right?
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 See, and I thought, we're in a staff meeting. I'll just stay here. I saw it 7 years ago.
Oh, no, I group text my family and then I went down to 7-Eleven and they were selling the glasses down there, the disposable at our local Sevs. So I got some. And then Rhett took a pair to work.
Okay.
And then everyone kind of heard that he had a pair, so he left them at the front desk. And when he went home that night, they're like, probably 30 or 40 people came and borrowed your glasses.
So it was more partial in,
It was.
in Utah,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
So we weren't getting like the whole experience, so to speak. And then there's something very different to the annual that we saw earlier
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
Was it this year? Yes. And then the whole like total darkness. So
Yeah.
I guess it's
I know,
yeah.
it seems like,
intriguing.
oh, we'll never have we won't have this again for like 15, 20, 40 years. But then it's like,
I
in
feel like
August,
we
here's
have.
another one. I'm
Right?
like, I'm confused.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I just
got a
saw
little
one
confused
last
too.
week.
So I'm
I
like,
don't
oh,
follow
there's
it
a
close
difference between like in your lifetime, just an annual, like
Yeah.
It's kind of like flowers, right? So you have your annual flowers that I've learned over the years as I've grown, right? That they
The perennials.
the perennials. Yes, we've learned all these things
Yes,
over the
we
years.
have.
So I don't know. It's kind of like the planets, right?
Yeah,
it was a little bit.
They aligned. So I was outside my backyard, so I had to spruce it up, guys. So I'm starting
Good.
the yard spruce
I
up.
have to.
Well, your
Yeah,
just
son
reading.
was in our yard.
Oh, did you have him
Yes,
come over?
yes. So he was doing
He
some
did some
aeration.
aeration, yes.
I missed the text.
Yes.
Oh, darn it.
No, he's come every year though. I really like that he just does that.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good little side thing. He
It
rents
is.
it and then
You
gets
just
like
get the
8
little
people
text
done.
and then he shows up and
In a
voila.
snowstorm. I mean, that
Oh,
was
was
the
it
day.
in a snowstorm that
It had
day?
snowed that
yes,
morning.
yeah, there was
so-
snow that morning, and so that's why I've kind of been like tippy-toeing outside the door and checking the forecast every day because I'm like, is it really time? Is
know.
it?
Yeah.
Do
Even
we really
today,
put out the
I thought
furniture?
No, I
was
put out my
beautiful.
cushions and then it snowed.
Right.
Literally like the next day.
Yeah,
And I was
it's
so
not
upset.
cushion time, I
no,
don't think.
Put them back.
Still keep
quite
Put on the
yet.
covers.
yard.
Yeah.
But there were
Almost.
people mowing in our neighborhood.
Yes.
I need to.
Chris did today as I was pulling out to come down here. He was mowing the lawn.
Okay.
I think I saw a lot of people out mowing last week.
So we're in that in between, right?
We are.
Ooh, but I'm itching. I'm itching to like do all the spring cleaning. I have
was
been
just
doing the
going to
spring
ask.
cleaning. Okay.
I did my closet last week.
You
Okay.
did.
You've done your yard.
I'm
I've done a little bit
starting.
in my yard.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
other spring things?
Also, all sorts of spring cleaning. So I feel like it's on the back end of spring break.
Yes.
So we just finished our spring break, and then of course that led into general conference. So if anybody was watching that, but then that starts the spring cleaning because I'm usually folding or doing some sort of
a
activity
good time to
during,
do it.
during conference, right? Then it's just like spring everything. So it's spring cleaning, it's spring soccer for us, it's still competition season, it's still like getting the end of the school year. So there's all of the track meets, you start getting home the flyers, like there's only 7 weeks left until school
Yeah.
is out. So I just feel like we're right on that cusp before summer.
And transition, like you know it's going to be warm that day, but when you leave the house at 8 or 9, it's cold, so you're wearing a jacket or a coat, but then by afternoon you're shedding the layers.
The
But if
other
you're
day I,
out at a
like,
soccer
wore-
game, you're putting them all back on
Right.
at night.
Yes,
So it's,
yeah.
I'm wearing like big, huge puffer jackets to work in the morning, and then like sweating my guts out. I come outside, wow! There's
Well, yeah, well, and
sun.
then when Barrett's even like practicing her program on the ice at the ice arena, I've been outside going for my walks if it's been warm enough, and they're prepping like Splash Summit. So you know that like
It's
all of us
coming.
We're
coming.
there, yeah.
And then we had passes actually for our birthday party for opening weekend of Lagoon. But then they're like, strike that. Like, it's not going to open today. So those were
You got Lagoon passes?
not because I wanted to.
Natasha, your life, just, wow, you fit it all in.
I don't. It's,
You do.
I just, you know, send the bucks because the kids are going to the places.
Lagoon.
But how
so,
do they get to Lagoon though?
Other moms.
Okay.
There's all kinds of moms planning parties and opening weekend and going to Lagoon, but then they pulled that back. So then we ended up at a trampoline park instead, and you know, so we're just waiting for the big. And then it was the end to the ski season. So you know, we're in Utah. It is what it is.
A lot of transitions.
And it's not just Utah. We actually spent part of our spring break in Nevada. So we saw Grandma and Grandpa, and then we drove to Las Vegas to drop off Keith, and they closed the pools that day because of high winds.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's everywhere.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Did you have a good spring break?
It was awesome.
Because
Yeah.
you stuck around, right?
I did.
I did too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we don't have kids to like.
No,
let's go
I was like,
somewhere.
oh, it's spring break. I only knew because at our office we've had so many people get out wisdom teeth. Like the last 3 weeks have just been crazy.
I'm sure.
Because of,
Well, it was kind
break.
of like this build up, right? Because it was so that the big weekend it was Miss Spanish Fork. So that Saturday.
Easter egg hunt.
And then yes. And then so that's all Easter weekend, right? So we had the pageant and then we had Easter Sunday and then we got on the road and we drove down to Nevada to start our break, and then Grandma and Grandpa were there to receive us. So, and there were the fun things to do down there, and we
busy
did
week.
some biking, we did some walking, we did some bowling, we did some swimming. We
Well,
did
you fit a lot
all the
in.
things. Yeah, it was
That's
fun.
really fun.
Oh, good.
I feel like my life is really boring, but it
I
felt
cleaned out
like
my
it.
closet.
I did a
That's
little
really
bit of
good,
cleaning
though.
too,
That's
and
really,
hosted
really good.
grandkids. So
I was going to say,
fun.
I had 2 grandkids for 48 hours. And I know sometimes when you arrive here to film, you're like maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier just because you can't wait to get out.
Because I like adult time.
I only had them for 48 hours, and they're awesome, easy kids.
Right.
But they both were a little sick, and
Oh, darn it.
not bad. But I had counsel that night and a meeting, and I was out of the house 20 minutes earlier than I needed to be.
Like,
And I
I've
was
got to
like,
go read through my notes down there,
I can't wait
Chris.
to talk
Right.
to grown-ups. And so
and there's-
kudos,
It's a lot of work.
Kudos to moms out there
It
doing
is,
this. This
yeah.
is big.
Well, all kinds of spring fever.
Oh.
So now we power up till the
Seasonal
end of the year.
allergies too. Yeah, all those fun things. Well, it's time to get the chatter going. Let's get started. For some young women, the dream of becoming Miss Spanish Fork starts at a very young age, and that dream has motivated our next guest, and it's become a reality. Welcome Hope King, our new Miss Spanish Fork 2024, to the table. Welcome. And congratulations.
Congrats.
Yay.
Yay.
You're just
gorgeous
as
girl.
of filming, what, 10 days of Miss Spanish Fork?
Yep, 10
10
days.
So like
Crazy.
355 days to go.
I know. Oh, it's
And it
so
will go
exciting.
fast, too.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps telling me. I'm trying to soak every moment in.
So has this been your first gig? So, or have you
We
been-
did a ribbon cutting.
Oh,
but
good for you.
This is the second gig.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So what ribbon cutting was it?
It was the MVP Sports new location.
Oh, awesome.
Friday, huh?
Yeah, it was so fun. Me and my royalty.
Okay.
Okay, well, we all have
Okay,
questions.
yes.
Should we just keep going, circling, Natasha?
Yes.
Let's circle.
Well, okay. Well, your service initiative. Like what is one of the first things that you want to do?
I want to host dance classes. So
Okay.
my community service initiative is called Together We Empower.
Okay.
It's about using your skills and your talents to serve our community. And my talent is dance. And so that's something that I want to be able to bring into Spanish Fork.
Okay.
Just free dance
So will
classes.
you, free dance classes, that's what you're going to do,
Yeah.
okay.
She was going to.
I know, okay, sorry, okay, now go.
I was kidding. So, like, the interview process would scare me. So,
Terrifying.
Thinking back to it, what were one of the questions they asked that you felt really confident that you answered super well?
Oh, this is a good question.
Do you remember
This
the
is
questions? Like, or are you
I
like,
don't remember a lot of it.
You may
to be
not.
honest. I walked out and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, it's
do you
gone.
remember your onstage question?
Yes, it was, and I felt really good about my own stage question.
Well, you did really good.
We thought that you did fabulous.
yeah. So let's hear about that.
It was, how has Together We Empower helped me abroad? And so I was able to live in the Dominican Republic for 4 months and teach English, and I lived in Romania for 4 months, and I helped out at this orphanage that was for kids with either like physical needs or mental needs. And so I was just able to talk about how I was able to bring that into those places.
And to do that, was that through college, or was that just you just reaching out and finding an opportunity to go do that?
There's an organization in Orem. It's called International Language Program.
Okay.
And so my sister was supposed to sign up, and she was going to go to China in like 2018, I think.
Oh, wow.
Like a long time ago. And then she decided to get married. And so I decided that was not going to happen to me, and I was going to go on those trips. And so I signed up and went.
And are you, looking back, are you really, really glad you did it, or you're like, ooh, that was really hard? Like, I'm sure it was hard.
It was hard, but worth it.
Okay.
100% worth it. Yeah.
Okay. So some people might recognize you from serving before. So you had served previously,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
tell us about that experience and then what you learned from that experience to become our new title holder.
So I was first runner-up in 2022. And it was such a great experience because Spanish Fork really does like take care of the royalty and really does love the royalty. And Miss Spanish Fork has been a dream of mine since I was 10 years old, so it wasn't something I was willing to give up yet.
Okay.
Yes, and I think I'm actually one of the oldest Miss Spanish Forks there is.
I want
Oldest?
How old?
I'm 21, and usually they're like 18 or 19.
That is not
We have such a mature title.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But to that point, because Miss America organization has kind of set, the standards again for
Yeah,
the age,
'cause
so you
it's
can
to
actually
28.
right?
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah, I do
love-
too.
And I noticed that on your on-stage question. Like, I love that she's had some life experience.
Totally. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is it my turn?
yes, go ahead. Yes.
Just kidding.
We never take
No,
turns.
but I did notice that on stage. You were really poised, and I could feel a sense of maturity, which is really, I mean, all the girls were fabulous,
Yes.
but I think with that age and just life lessons and experiences brings just a little extra oomph that you can lead out. So what are you most excited about this year to kind of do or be a part of?
So my birthday is actually July 24th.
No, it's
Which is so perfect because as a kid I was like, oh, these parades are for me. They're celebrating me, but they're not, which is fine.
Which they can be now. I love that.
You should have a happy birthday sash too.
We're gonna make a little
right?
sign for the parade.
Oh,
So I'm so excited to be able to celebrate my birthday, but also be Miss Spanish Fork and go to
Yes.
the rodeo and
The
go to the
rodeo
parade.
rocks. You've already done all the
Yes.
rodeo nights, so
The best.
it's kind of nice because you know what to
Yeah,
expect.
been there, done that. It's, yeah.
But yeah, now this is a new role, like Natasha said. Like, you're the title holder, so it's just
Yeah.
gonna be
Taking
so
those
much
other
better.
maybe attendants and showing them the ropes. Is there anyone else that's been in the royalty before that will join you this year?
Yeah, so Emma Williams was in the royalty last time, and she'll be in this year as well.
That's
So you'll be
exciting.
experts with the fans
Yes.
and the sunscreen and wearing your boots
Yeah.
under the dress and maybe shorter dresses even, right? It's so hot.
It does get so hot, but it's so fun. So
Okay.
it's worth it.
Well, also because it's a scholarship organization and you're receiving scholarship money,
Yes.
like how do you plan to further your education after your year of service?
So I'm going to Brigham Young University in the fall,
Yay,
and
okay.
I study modern dance, and so I already have my associates, so I'm just got 2 more years
Oh,
left.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
So are you doing anything with dance at BYU? Like Cougarette or anything, or just doing this stuff?
I want to eventually, but I've been wanting to be Miss Spanish Fork for such a long time, and so I really want to invest all my time in that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that
think
makes
that's really dear.
Yeah.
So back to the pageant, the competition. What was the scariest moment?
On stage
Yeah.
question.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that has always been the scariest for me. And so I was so proud of myself because I felt like I nailed it. I was like, I finally got it.
I would have been backstage like, yes, yes. Yeah, I think, can't you tell when you've done it well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
when
but-
you've just nailed it.
I went backstage and I was like, I messed up at the beginning. Like I was just like dissecting every word I said.
Oh, yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I did good. I'm good. Gave it my all.
And did you feel that confidence as well when you left the judges?
Yes.
The interview?
Yes. I felt really happy after
Okay.
the interview.
No, that's so good. I mean, and I think that just because I'm cheating a little bit because
'Cause
I'm
you
on
were
the
in
board,
there.
right?
Yeah.
But I also know that you maybe had maybe a previous obstacle because you're such a perfectionist. That
Yes.
you just really, really had your sights set on winning.
Mm-hmm.
How did you overcome that obstacle? Like, was it a mindset? Was it just, I'm just going to do it no matter what? How did you get past that, so to speak?
Was this the fear?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to share it?
Sure.
I had this fear that I was always going to be second best because it just like showed up so much in my life. And so I just like constantly had to learn how to choose myself. And it's paid off because now like I feel like I have been chosen, but I would still have chosen myself even if I'm not in this place.
Don't you love that?
I love
Like, I
that.
think it's so inspiring, and I think that you should share that with other girls.
I do too, because a
be-
lot of times we try something the first time and like, I'm not good enough. There's so many people that were just as equal, I feel like, on that level playing field. And so I think it's so refreshing to hear someone say, I didn't think I was good enough, I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
going.
so
I'm gonna
proud
give
of you.
myself.
That's
But
amazing.
then I still am great, right? You're still great no matter what.
No matter where.
Yeah, and being humble, like if you are chosen, because it comes down to really the judges that night.
Yes.
Different set of judges, different
Different
outcomes. So
opinion, yeah.
it like you can, like you go through these roadblocks and then accomplish these goals, but you need to stay humble through those accomplishments
Yeah.
because it could go so many different ways.
Yeah. And you never know.
Yeah.
And
I
there
just
was-
give it to you guys. It seems so scary to be up there and just be judged in all areas of your little self.
Yeah, but it is so fun. Like
Is
it
it?
is such a yes.
Okay. So
I,
tell me
look
one of the
forward to
funnest
it.
things about like being
production
with the
number?
girls and all that.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Production number is my favorite because we all get. That's like when you really get to meet the girls. I feel like, and even like when I did Miss Spanish Fork in 2022, I got really close with Haley Pierce, and she's like one of my best friends now, and so I'm like so thankful for that experience.
That's where some of your best friends come from. I think
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Did you know our own Natasha? What's your maiden name again?
Brown.
Brown was Miss Nephi. Did you know
It
that?
was 100 years ago. Yeah.
I'm like surprised I don't know this actually.
Yeah.
I think she should bring her crown sometime, don't
Oh,
you?
You
no,
should.
once you put it away. I mean, you can always show it to you, but
Bring the
you
box.
get to wear it again.
Share with Hope what your talent was, because we just found out last.
Oh, that I played the fiddle. So,
No way.
yes.
Right?
Do you
so
still
you
play?
should play for Hope and she could
probably
dance.
not. I think that her style is
You should
completely
do
different,
the,
but
the Spanish Fork talent show.
Yes.
Yes, I like that idea.
I don't need a challenge right now, but maybe I should break through and do that again, right? Maybe bring that out.
Yes.
That's amazing.
But Hope also works at one of the dance studios here in Spanish Fork, and so there's a lot of little girls that are looking up to you all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time. So do you ever see that in the dance studio as well? That some of the young girls are like, I can't do it. Help us, Miss Hope.
Yes, I don't let them say can't.
Oh,
that's like
that's
10
great.
push-ups automatically.
Is it? I love that.
Awesome.
Because it's just, you can't have that mindset, especially in dance because it's already hard enough. And so if you're constantly being like, I can't do this, you're not going to be able to. So I don't let them say it. That's not a word in my class.
That's awesome.
You are super talented, and you told us that you work for your dad's chiropractic clinic
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
There's nothing that you can't do, sweet girl.
That's so
We
sweet.
wish you a wonderful
You
year.
do.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll
Yep.
see you all over. So.
Yes,
I'm
we will
so
see you
excited.
many, many
Thanks for
times.
joining us.
Thanks,
Amazing.
thank you, and congratulations
Thank
again.
Congrats.
Thank you.
We've been blessed to have a couple of good water years, but let's face it, Utah is a desert, and a big use of our resource is our home landscaping. How can we be more water wise? Let's welcome Mary Martin, the Associate Planner for Spanish Fork City, to the table.
Hello,
Glad you're
Mary.
here.
Hi.
That sounds so scary. How can we become water wise? Like,
Oh, I thought
do
you
we-
meant her title.
Oh no,
Like,
that's
that's a big
title. Fabulous. Water wise, tell us, what do we need to know about this?
So WaterWise is really about having like a functional, attractive, easy to maintain, and most importantly, water efficient landscape.
Yeesh.
Most important.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Teach us the ways.
So we have a big problem, like you guys were saying. So Utah is a pretty dry state. We're prone to droughts, and we're also growing in population. So we're supposed to grow by, I think, double in the next like 50 or so years.
in Spanish Fork or Utah?
In Utah.
In Utah.
But
Oh,
that
wow.
does reflect Spanish Fork.
That does, because we grow faster than anyone else in Utah. Okay.
We do. So there's a lot of increasing demand for water, but there's only so much water to go around. So big issue. And water-wise is really just about being smart about how we use water in our landscapes. And so recently, I think it was last year, the city modified our municipal code to kind of consider that and make it easier and encourage people to use less water in their landscapes across all land uses.
So it's not like the city is not making us, or are they?
No,
A little
just
bit.
encouraging it.
Encouraging,
Yes.
okay.
Let's talk about, like, are they still doing Flip Your Strip?
Yep, so that's also a program that we encourage people to do. That's talking about the park strips, so the space between the sidewalk and the street, the little grass area.
Okay.
And there's a program, I believe it's a rebate program, so if you participate and kind of follow their guidelines, you can get money back for the work that you've done in your yard.
So you
Where
think that's
can
a
you
really
find that?
small area, but you think take all that grass out, and when we built our house, we just put cement there and trees, and
That was good.
because that was a really tricky part of your yard to keep
It is.
pretty.
It is.
So-
but-
Because it's not real, it's yours, but it feels like it's not, because there's sidewalk in between it.
Well, and it's really, is it really ours? It's really not ours, the strip. I mean, it is, but it's,
But it's
the
not.
city has,
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
city can help maintain it, but as the property owner, if you want to make changes to it, you kind of have to do that on your own
Okay.
dollar. And the city can provide you resources like our guidelines for water-wise landscapes. But really, it's up to you as the homeowner, and you're responsible for it. So-
Okay.
So I am interested to know, because you mentioned concrete. So if you flip that to concrete rather than maybe a grassy area, are there other ideas or options for maybe rock, or maybe even the fake grass? I mean, I just spent a lot of time in Nevada, and I'm out on my walk during spring break, and I just noticed how it's very pretty just to look at the fake grass.
Right.
So is that one of the incentives as well?
So we don't necessarily encourage like all concrete. You could do like
Okay.
pavers,
Okay.
so kind of smaller areas
Oh,
of that,
okay.
or like those stones where you can kind of make
Sure.
cool patterns out of it for cows and things like that.
Okay.
We do allow turf, but only in your backyard where you can't see it really. So we don't
Okay.
allow it in front yards, side yards, or the park strip.
Okay.
Only because it's harder to maintain over time, and while it can look nice, if it's not done correctly, it can cause
Well,
issues.
we have harsh winters as well, so it probably does beat it up a
Yeah,
little bit.
I would
so
imagine it would
that's
fade
the
it and make
question,
it-
right?
yeah,
And then
tricky.
even like kind of the polished rocks. You talked about pavers, but what about like polished rock landscape, or does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be perfect. And then kind of intersperse some plants. You could do trees. We have an approved, like pre-approved shade tree list that you
Oh,
can
okay.
choose from. There's options outside of that, but that's kind of a guideline that we provide residents.
And then there's
so-
online, there's all this information, correct, about
Yeah.
that portion.
So there's a ton of information. If you go
Okay.
to SpanishFork.org/waterwise, we have information about our code. We have a residential guidebook, which I brought today.
Wow.
We also have
let's flip through
Right?
this
Yeah.
engine middle.
So I can kind of
I
go
know,
through
and let
some
us know
of what's
what
in
is
there.
allowed and what is not. I just did this in my side yard.
Some pathways.
We did it on our own. It was a little tricky, but I've loved it because I had a piece of grass that was getting in that shady, not really growing. We were overwatering it, which it was pouring off of, and thus we did those stones and just made the whole part a little path.
Yeah. that's
And it worked
awesome.
out great.
Yeah,
and I
that's
can
awesome.
turn off my sprinklers, so I feel like I saved water.
Perfect.
So let's talk about then your job. So as part of this, obviously helping educate, because sitting here and asking you these questions, like it's not my forte, and it's more so your forte. So maybe educating folks how to be more water wise. So we've talked about it in the landscaping. Let's talk a little bit maybe even about, because I know nothing about this either, I'm just throwing this out there. What about recycling water?
I don't know that I can answer questions about recycling water.
Okay. That's
If
okay.
If you want, I can kind of talk through some strategies for saving water in your landscape when you're designing that, whether it's
Yes,
installing
that's
a
a
new
good idea.
landscape
Okay.
or if
Yes.
you're a current homeowner and you want to just modify your
Well,
landscape.
aren't
that
we?
you
I
do
feel
have.
like we're always modifying.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to build our last home, which we've been there almost 10 years, because they didn't want to put the yard in, because we had just finished the yard in the previous house after 14 years. But then I thought, was it ever really done?
No,
gets
it never
lighter,
is.
maybe you know,
Right.
you do this section, this thing, but you're always like pulling out this,
Yeah.
putting in a new.
And then
so-
we've noticed, like in beds, like sometimes you have the little pipe just above ground, water spigots. What's best?
Yeah, so
Okay.
good thing to start small. So even if it's just a small portion of your yard or even just starting in the park strip. So one of the things that's in this guidebook that's great to start with is the Localscapes approach. So it's like a 5-step approach for making your yard more water efficient, but also maintaining like the good looks of it and having your curb appeal. So our first one is going to be creating central open spaces. And this is really just about creating a focal point for your yard. This is typically where you want to use, we call it turf grass, which is really just like regular grass.
Okay.
Kind of misleading because it has the word turf in it,
Yes.
but if I say turf grass, I just mean regular
Grass.
grass that we know about. So this central open space is typically in your front yard. You can use the grass. It's kind of where high traffic areas would be. And then the next step is going to be designating gathering areas. So where you want to enjoy your yard, really. This could be having like a gazebo or a little fire pit. And in this space, you can use materials other than grass so that you're not having to water so much. So like mulch, gravel, the stones, things like that.
So what you're saying here is it doesn't have to be grass for a central
Gathering place.
So in my yard, I've always loved decks. I think because
Yeah.
when I grew up, my parents, in our different houses, we had decks. So we call it a floating deck because it's detached from the house and it's in a far corner, so away from the house. And it's literally only a foot off the ground.
Yeah.
But it gives it the dimension, and it's Trex, and then we have poles so we can hang our hammocks and put flower pots out there. So it is a gathering place, but some people may think, oh, that just has to be grass. But no,
Nope.
you can do pavers, a deck, all the different things
Yeah.
you suggested.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Well, I would even suggest to believe that even more modern architecture, I think that architects or designers are getting smarter about being more water wise. You see a lot more of dry yards opposed to grass everywhere.
Yeah. It's also a good way to just have something different visually and make it
Yes.
a little bit more interesting.
Well, and sometimes all that grass isn't even used. And so we're watering it, we're mowing it, we're doing all that, and it could be utilized like way better. And so I feel like
Exactly.
you guys have created some ideas,
Yeah.
a plan.
So
for people.
after you've kind of designated your focal point and your gathering areas where you're going to enjoy your yard, the next step is going to be activity zones. So this is maybe where your kids are going to play, so like a playground or
Trampoline pit.
Yes.
trampoline
Yeah.
pit, yeah, things like that, or a garden even. And kind of depends on the function of it, but this is another area where you could think about using other material other than grass. So maybe mulch or something along those lines.
Okay.
And then the step after that is connecting all of those spaces that you've created with paths. And
I did a path.
yeah, this is a good
One thing
opportunity to use what we would call hardscape, so like the pavers, gravel, the stones. And then after you're done with all those, you can kind of fill in the rest with planter beds. Not necessarily like raised or anything, but just kind of like designated planter areas. And this is where you'd want to install like water efficient plants that are going to naturally use less water.
Okay.
And it's a good
Like
idea.
cactus?
Yeah, yeah.
Like things that will stay alive.
I mean, we're in a
In the desert.
so
Yeah,
we
right?
always, so I think we're all guilty of like wanting the big, beautiful, like
Yes.
colorful
I
flowers
want my
all the
peony
time.
bush in a certain place, and it's just not going to ever survive.
But I
Yeah.
think rethinking all of that, right?
And I think a great way is just to walk around your neighborhood. This is what I've done. And just like, oh, I like that. And go ask them, what is that? Or take a picture and then take it to your local nursery. Like whatever you're seeing that is flourishing. But don't think, if it's on a south-facing
yes.
part of a lot where it's maybe getting a lot of sun, don't assume, oh, I'll put that on the north side of my house where it's total shade. Like you need to think through it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you were on the exact right track of just think about plants that are going to be native to Utah or good in the Utah climate. There are some good examples around town. The city's even working on this themselves. We haven't done a great job in the past, so we're putting our best foot forward going forward with this WaterWise landscaping. So like the North Park, that's been newly landscaped. Also Library Hall, there's some good examples. So
Perfect.
I couldn't tell you about specific residences, but those are some good public spaces that you could look for some direction.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll go take a
I
look. Well,
do
thank
like
you for
it.
educating us. And if we would like to
Yeah.
learn more, it's all online and
Yep,
okay.
SpanishFork.org/WaterWise. So
Awesome.
I feel wiser about water.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll be more waterwise. Thank you so much.
you. Mary.
thanks for having me.
Every year at this time, we get the desire to do that spring cleaning. And with a new garbage transfer station opening soon, that changes how we do our cleanup. Welcome Nick Porter, the Public Information Officer for Spanish Fork, to the conversation.
Thanks, Tasha.
Well,
Like, I don't
let's
think we'll
talk.
ever come talk trash.
Yeah,
There
let's
is
do that.
never?
Let's talk
Let's do it.
trash.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
What are we going to talk about, guys? The new trash station, or should we start with spring cleanup? Let's do
Well,
spring cleanup.
I think they're one and the same. I think to know what
Yeah.
we're doing for spring cleanup, you need to know that there's a new transfer station that is leaving Springville and coming to Spanish Fork.
I don't even know if
Okay.
everyone knows, like when we internally in the city say transfer station. do you
People don't
think
know what that
everyone-
means.
So when you said trash station, that's what they're going to.
Waste station?
So, to
Yes.
put it simply, we take all of our trash to this transfer station, all of our trash and recycling. Then they will take the trash and send it to the landfill. They'll take the recycling and send it to a recycling center. They'll take the tires and the electronics and send that to recycle. where
Okay.
tires
So
and
it's
electronics go.
transferring
So they-
items.
They collect everything, separate it, and send it out to where it
send it
needs to
out.
go.
So my experience at the Springville location has been if you have electronics, if you have refrigerators, if you have things that have things in them that you can't just dispose of properly, you go to the waste station. They even ask about the number of items or weigh in. That's going to work the same way, right?
Oh, but
Ish?
Yes.
better.
Okay.
But better.
Okay, but better. Okay.
So yeah, the old location had one entrance
Okay.
for everybody. The big trucks, the trucks from the transfer station, and each of us in our personal vehicles. The new transfer station has an entrance separate for all three of those things.
So cool.
all of the city trucks, and we use Republic Services, they have their own commercial entrance.
Okay.
We'll have our own entrance as residents. We'll go in, get on the scale, go into the building. It's indoors now. And you'll take your hazardous household
Okay,
waste to
okay.
one side. You'll drop everything else at a spot. You can go in, park, dump it out. There's really little backing up anymore either.
Yeah,
And
you'll
then
just
you're on
kind
your
of be
way.
like in this door, out the other door.
How will that indoor? I was watching the video and I was so intrigued. Is it one car in, close the door? Is there a vacuum type thing that keeps the yucky out? You know?
Yeah, so there's some actually really cool technology in the
Yeah.
garbage facility.
Okay.
So there are a few garage doors, and they're high-speed doors. So yeah, you go in, and that door will shut behind you. They actually recycle the air inside the facility 6 times every hour.
Wow.
Love
I
that. No
think I
more
said
stinky
A
smell.
different time last time, but I confirmed that today.
Okay.
I was just going to say every 90 seconds. So I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
glad
I
I'm not so
misspoke
good.
that last time. I confirmed with the director today.
Okay.
That's how often the air gets transferred or
Which is so
recycled out
cool.
and cleaned up.
So this has been ongoing for how long?
They said they've been in planning this for over 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
So as far as building and design, I think that's more recent. We had a groundbreaking, I think, 2 years ago.
Okay.
So as far as the facility actually taking shape, it's just been a couple of years.
So Springville will go away. That transfer station is being completely
Yes,
Shut down.
correct.
Okay.
The transfer
So
station.
this is in replace of that. Even though it was in Springville, do we own part of it? And now it's
Because
in
it's
Spanish
the
Fork.
South
Is it
Utah Valley
Town
Okay.
Solid Waste District.
Okay. So
Perfect.
it encompasses several cities.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we've always been a part owner, Spanish Fork City,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still a part owner. We just are lucky enough to host it.
So anybody in the surrounding area,
Right.
let's talk spring cleanup now because 'tis the season, right? So we're cleaning
Perfect.
things up, we're getting things out of the house, we're getting things out of the garage, we're getting things out of the yard. Vouchers.
Yeah.
Yes?
So
Okay.
because it's a new facility, we want everyone to go try it out.
Sure.
So we are changing it up. That's why that part's important.
Okay.
We're not putting dumpsters in parks. You will get a voucher this year. Print it off online
Okay.
with your utility account. Take that voucher with you and your load of garbage. Make sure it's covered. They'll weigh you at the scales going in, they'll weigh you going out, you'll give them your vouchers, and you're good to go. Each residence, so each home, will get 3 vouchers. They have a $10 value. You can really just think of that as 3 of your own pickup truck loads.
That's
If
amazing.
you're going to pull a trailer, maybe they'll take 2 vouchers, and they're going to work with us to get as much bang for your buck as possible.
And let's talk about why cover the bed of the truck.
Well, I think it's even more important now because the transfer station's in our city. But
Yeah.
there's wind
Keep our
and
city
there
clean.
are
It is
speeds,
windy, yes.
And so covering your load is to really just to keep our community beautiful. So they
things
charge
aren't
a
flying
fee.
out, dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. But I think both of those, safety and beauty, that's why you cover your load. If you don't, they'll charge you a fee because they're going to go
They
clean it
do.
up after.
Yep, you don't want to be charged.
I do not do that anymore. I spider net it all up. And that
Good.
works.
Perfect.
So tell us where it's at. Okay, I know where the other one was, kind of by Cracker Barrel. Tell me how I get
so you're
to the
still
new
going to
one.
go down Main Street or up Main Street, and instead of going all the way to Springville and turning right, you're going to stop at 3450 North and turn left.
And turn left.
So 518 West, 3450 North.
So a little bit more west.
Yep.
Okay.
A little bit farther west
Yep.
and
Past
farther
the county
south.
jail, if you know where the Utah
Uh-huh.
County Jail is, just past that, and isn't it the next left? Or something close?
Yeah, I believe it's the second. If you're at the jail entrance, it's the second left.
And when do we open?
So the grand opening is also, it's right before our spring cleanup. So it's the 25th of April.
Okay.
They're having a big
Marvelous.
ceremony and open house. They're going to cut a ribbon at 2 o'clock or so and have some really cool things going on there. And then we're gonna break in the new facility starting the 29th for 2
One
weeks.
cool thing I wanted to remind people, if you haven't seen the video, is there is a second level inside where you have windows, like where we can look over and see Pete, but you can look, hi Pete, you can take your family, your preschool, your scout group, your high school class, and you go upstairs and you can look over the whole transfer station, and this building is ginormous.
It looks
It's
beautiful.
massive.
If I could say that about a garbage building, beautiful.
We can say that now because there's
Okay.
no garbage in it.
Right
Yeah,
now.
I think it's over 100,000 square feet.
And you can sit and watch all of this happen. It's quite incredible. The other thing I love listening to Mayor Mendenhall talk about is this big enclosed building you would never drive by and think, oh, that's the transfer station. It's the end of life things. But that's our industrial area where there's going to be new buildings being built, new technology, gadgets could be created in a building half a mile down the street to start the life. The end of the life will be in the next building, but you would never know.
That's fantastic.
Well, and I do love that it's enclosed because that's one thing that I hate about the dump. I appreciate all their efforts and what they're doing to try and get that garbage, in
Right.
there. But there's papers flying down the street, and I always want to clean up that area when I go by. I'm like, Rhett, look at all this
Oh,
garbage.
But it's true, right?
So it
And
is.
It is. It's the smell, and you're
is.
like, and you look at the big pile of all of the dead, the dead
it's all
refrigerators.
our
and-
things, right?
and
But
so
I
it's-
love that it can be put into an inside facility. I love that thought. It's like,
State of the art.
yeah,
It'll be
is.
really nice. They have just one more kind of thing they do technology-wise. They actually have some infrared cameras that sense the heat on the floor, and before you get a big fire, they can see kind of the hot spots and
So
and
someone
do some
brings in
things
like
to
a battery
change that,
or
right.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So better for the technology. I
Right.
mean, not for the environment is what I meant to say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they try to keep. They have a lot of fire suppression systems and even some water cannons to kind of put those out. But they're always monitoring, taking care of that, and being inside, we won't have that fugitive garbage that gets blown down the road. It'll
Yep.
be a really cool thing. And so this is a trial year for the spring cleanup. Just a side note: when we have dumpsters in parks, we know it's not just Spanish Fork residents using it. So we don't want to pay for our neighboring cities' garbage anymore. So this is another kind of helpful, another reason to print off your vouchers. They're going to check your ID at the transfer station. So your name and the name on the voucher need to match so that we can pay
Yes.
for our residents.
Another
and
city
take care of
Folks
each other in the
can
community.
come. They just pay a little bit more. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can always
Okay.
go to the transfer station
Okay.
and dump. They just won't be able to get a voucher because you have to have a
Right.
utility account.
And pay a little
Yep.
bit more for it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and don't you pay per mile? So, in your normal garbage pickup, Spanish Fork, since the transfer station is now in Spanish Fork, we're going to pay less than, let's say, Springville City residents because their garbage men have to drive further to the transfer station. So that benefits Spanish Fork.
Yeah, I think that's
That's
probably all
huge.
built into the rate
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
with
I
Republic
mean, you're not going to
Services,
probably
so,
see
yeah.
anything immediately, but it does equal out and benefits us.
That's cool.
Fantastic.
I like it. I love the video. It was
Well, we love
intriguing.
it.
I want to go to the second story and watch it.
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, well, they're open. They want you to come too.
Okay.
Okay, so opening date, 25th?
25th.
Grand opening is April 25th. Spring cleanup starts April 29th
Okay.
for 2 weeks.
So the
2
vouchers
weeks.
are good for 2 weeks.
Vouchers are good for 2 weeks. The
Okay.
spring cleanup vouchers.
Okay.
Now we still have the green waste vouchers. That's a different discussion, but you can still do the green waste vouchers all summer. But yeah, spring cleanup, 2 weeks. No dumpsters in parks. Take it to the news station. Enjoy checking it out, seeing how it works, and then go back.
Okay,
Great
Spanish Fork
job.
rocks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we do.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Doing big things in a community takes a lot of resources, and that often means money. But if you have a lot of people willing to contribute, that can make big things happen. Welcome Jessica Farnsworth from 100 Women Who Care to the table.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Oh,
here.
welcome.
Back.
Right,
It's
thank you
been
so much.
2 years?
Yeah,
About?
yeah,
Oh my
I think just
goodness.
about
2?
maybe 1.5.
Okay.
Or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons I thought to have you back is because when you came the first time, I was so intrigued that I joined 100 Women Who
You
Care.
did.
And so I've been going to the, excuse me, the quarterly meetings. And so
Yes.
I'm like, you have an upcoming meeting in May.
We do.
Let's promote it to our viewers and have you
Wonderful.
remind our viewers, like, what is 100 Women Who Care?
Absolutely. Well, and then I'd love to hear from you about your
Okay.
experience as a member as well,
Yeah.
Stacey. We love having you at our meetings. It's awesome.
It's fun. It's rewarding.
They are fun. So we are a systemic giving and educational organization where we meet once every 3 months for 1 hour. Anybody can become a member. What we do during that hour of time is we hear from 3 local charities. The rules in order to present to the group are that you have to be a designated 501c3, IRS tax exempt status, be serving in the Utah Valley, the greater Utah County area, and be able to come and share your mission, how you currently secure funding, who you serve, how you get started, etc. We give each organization about 5 to 6 minutes each to present. Then we do a Q&A kind of round robin session, and then we vote and we choose a winner. And what does the winner get? Stacey, do you want to say what the winner gets?
So your goal is to get 100 women donating $100 quarterly.
Okay.
So you get that, and it's all in this, bucket of money. But you also have a match, right?
We do. So do the
So
math.
that would be
and
10,000.
Yeah, that
Okay.
that
Yeah.
donation is $10,000 per quarter towards the local
Wow.
charity. And then we have some members that give more than 100, and some members that represent their family foundational organizations. And then we also partner with the Schultze Family Foundation, who represents the charity, the charitable foundation behind Best Buy. And they partner with 100 giving circles across the country, but they often come in and do a 50% matching grant up to $10,000.
So cool.
an additional
Yeah.
5, yeah.
So it just makes you feel like your $100 is even going farther.
A little bit
yes,
further.
yeah, it's worth half again as much.
So I think it's always scary to go to something new, right? You're like, you're going, do I know anyone? You're at a table, you email everyone, all of the members, and say, hey, if you want to join us for lunch, we'll have lunch there. You can bring your own lunch. You don't need to have lunch. You're at tables with other women. So you're just like, sit down, like, tell me a little bit about you. So it's a little bit of just conversation, networking.
Support and
Yeah.
networking event as well. We've had so many women, and then leaders of the charities will join as well, but just form alliances, get to know each other, figure out what they have in common in terms of their careers or even their hobbies or their inclination to give and donate, and form some wonderful alliances locally.
I love
And
that.
as much as we think, a quarterly, I'll go to every meeting.
That is still
Inevitably,
busy.
You're busy, and so you're just connected. You have my bank account, and it's just every quarterly, it automatically comes out. So if you cannot go to a meeting, if you're out of town or whatever, then you're still contributing.
Yeah, and To be clear, I don't have Stacy's bank account, but we are aligned.
Someone has my account and is taking the money.
It's a very secure.
So it's an auto draft kind of thing quarterly to sign up to be a part
an
of it.
organization that exclusively
Just because you're
works with-
trying to give and make sure that those charities that are coming in, that they are being
it's a
able to
digital
get
platform that
Yeah.
works exclusively with charitable organizations, and then they direct all of our donations directly to the winning charity. We then have the winning charity who got that impact award join us at our next meeting and report out for about 10 minutes to share how the money made an impact, what they're spending it on, who it's impacting. For instance, one of our recent, I don't know if you were at this meeting, but when we had, we actually had a recipient and a client of one of our organizations, forgetting the name right now, but Live Your Dream Foundation. So they are the scholarship for single mothers. Actually,
she reported
yes,
that.
She
Yes,
did. Yeah, and
yes.
she reported how she used her scholarship to really change her life and the lives of her children. So.
Well, and it's cool because an organization, for example, Tabitha's Way, was awarded money like about a year ago.
Yes.
And so Tabitha's Way could use this money for a lot of different things, but the organizations say, if we're awarded this money today, this is exactly what we will do with it.
Oh, I love that.
So they're very like specific, A, B, and C, this is where it's going. And it is not easy. You hear 3 presentations, then you get on your phone and you vote, and you're just like, oh.
So that was my next question.
I was going to say sometimes your heartstrings would just be tight,
yes.
like that's one, but then
You're like,
wow, this is going to
babies
go
getting
far away.
diapers, children learning how to read, or a mom
Right.
going to school.
Right, all good.
All
Do they
all
come
good.
back again ever?
That was my next
Yes.
question.
That's
Yes.
a
Did
great
they have the
question.
opportunity to?
They absolutely do.
Okay.
And so we have actually kind of a platform where you can go in and nominate a local charity, and if the runner-ups don't win that week, right, and that's really tough to choose, they can come back. We do have a little window where they wait and give other people a chance, but then they can come back. And so we've had runner-ups come back and win. And in fact, this last time that happened for the Neighborhood Arts Center. And they are a great little organization that's outside of the Provo Town Center. And they provide opportunities for children and lots of different members of the community to come in and just practice art. All different kinds of mediums, appreciate art, do art, paint, all kinds of things at a really low to no cost opportunity.
This is just
That
like
makes me happy.
a feel-good thing. Like if anyone is listening to this and thinks like, I could do that. It's $100 a quarter.
Yes.
But you listen to these organizations that are so creative, offering help to people out there, and you just are listening and you, wow.
You walk away uplifted.
Oh,
it's an
so
inspiring
neat. I bet.
experience.
It really
And,
is, Jessica. So thank you for
yeah,
overseeing it.
absolutely.
And you are just the Utah Valley chapter.
We
Tell
are.
us about the other chapters in Utah and throughout the country.
The one I know about in Utah, I started with the Salt Lake City chapter, and that was about probably 9 years ago now. And drove up there for several years, participating, and they have a great chapter up there. But Jen saw the growth and the need in our own community, and decided that we could really benefit from one down in Utah Valley.
So you live down here?
I do.
in
I
Utah.
live just here in Lake Shore near Spanish Fork.
Okay.
And joined forces with some phenomenal women who we formed a steering committee together and really got the ball rolling, got other people interested, and like-minded women coming out to do great things together.
Did
love
you
good people
ever
like you.
present yourself? Did you ever have like something else beyond this that got you involved in the first place?
I actually came across 100 Women through a colleague I worked with out of British Columbia.
Okay.
And she was in her local chapter, and I was like, what's
Okay.
that? What do you do? How does it work? I wonder if there's one in Utah. And that's when I came across the Salt Lake chapter.
okay.
Was just getting started, and just a great thing. And it's not only great because of the giving, but the educational component is
Oh, for
really
sure.
inspiring, because we have so many women that come and learn and say, I want to go bring my family back to this. I want to bring my church group back to this. And they find other ways to engage and give even more of their resources, either through time or leadership or additional thinking to these great organizations serving the needs.
Well, I love that it's women too, because women always seem to find a way to get things done. And to even use, speaking to this single mom who's created an organization and is going back to school herself, or I'm like just thinking like, I would love to contribute, just because in my own spare time, if there's ever any spare time, how do they find time to do this?
Right.
Because that's really what it is, right?
It is. This tries to address that. You want to do good, you want to engage, but you might only have 1 hour every couple of months. And if you want to go give more, you really have to be selective with where you want to direct that.
Well, you're wearing some new swag this time. Is there ways to give back in that regard also?
Actually, no. This was just
Wait,
a
okay,
gift from one of my members, but
Okay.
So
but
you
brought a great
made that
idea.
for you?
Yeah, one of my steering committee members had it made and gifted it to me.
So
sweet.
That's so fun.
And then she brought us gifts, guys. A sticker for our Stanleys.
Stickers for Stanleys.
And a little
Yes,
pin
perfect.
for
Like,
that would
perfect
look good
way
on
to
our little
promote the
jackets.
Sure would. We
organization.
wore jackets
I love
today.
it. Yeah, everybody's pinnable.
Yes.
Thank you for coming and reminding our
you.
viewers and us. Just
That's
it's a
fantastic.
great organization.
Thanks for
Keep
having
doing
me
the
back.
great work. Yeah.
Well, you three
and
as
before
well.
we
Yes.
say goodbye, will you tell people how they can find you and when the
Yes.
next meeting is?
Absolutely. Our next meeting will be May 1st, 11:30 a.m. at the doTERRA location up in Pleasant Grove. Registration instructions can be found on our social media pages, 100 Women Who Care Utah Valley. We have an Instagram page and a Facebook page, so you'll find links and calendar invites there.
Awesome. Thanks
Awesome.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
You probably now have a long list of things to do this spring. What did you add to your list?
Good question.
The waste transfer station.
You're gonna go check it out? Em?
Yes, I'm going to. I'm going to use my vouchers. I'm going to go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
I'm ready.
I'm gonna add the water wise. I think I need to get back to my yard, see where we need to add some, bark
Yeah.
to some things, check all the lines, make sure everything's done, pull out the old shrubs that have died and
I need
Yes,
to do
I have a couple of those.
That's the waste station, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to see me.
yeah. So
Yes, rethinking all of those things. So definitely the yard, definitely the cleaning, definitely, yes, getting it going, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'll see you guys at one of the 100 Women Who Care.
Maybe. I'm going to save
Yes,
my
I
life.
would love to go.
Yep.
I know that this first one that I
Is it
have
now?
I have a track meet that day.
Okay.
Not me personally.
That's not till November.
Natasha,
yes,
not running
yes, I'm
track?
working my way up to that, but not
Yes.
until November.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
No. I hope the viewers, if there's anyone out there that is so inspired to either donate
Oh, I
or
think it's
or
fantastic.
join,
I think it's a
Definitely
great
should.
thing. I love that you can take $100 and do so much with it, but you pool that together and 10,000, like what you can
and then
do.
have a matching fund, so you're like
really
oh,
changing
really?
lives
Yeah.
with that amount.
Yep.
Yep.
And speaking of empowered and inspiring women, it was so nice to meet our new title holder in Hope King.
She's
She's going to
beautiful.
be a beautiful, loving Miss Spanish Fork, and she has an incredible year ahead of her.
I would
I
agree.
love that we talked about her being older,
Me too.
and then
Which is not old.
but
Right?
You could sense that in her
A little bit of experience.
Yeah, and that
It's
was,
life
that
experience.
was kind of fun.
You can't do it any other way sometimes, except for living
Yeah.
the years.
Well, and like last night, Angela Euler sent us her resume because she's, about to graduate to be a therapist and she needs to do an internship. And it's just like when I was reading through her application and her resume, it's just like I replied back and I said, Angela, you have life experience. Like your childhood, her parents were divorced and things were tricky there, but now she has a good family that she's happy, but she's a mother of 4 and managing all of that. And you want someone you
Like
wanna-
that.
Yeah, you want
That
someone.
gets you and understands, like,
Yeah, you're
that
reading
you've
this
been through
resume
hard.
that, yeah, I'm well-rounded. I'm like, Angela, you are just well-rounded. And that's so important.
It really is.
Yeah, and I give it to her. Like, sometimes we feel like my life is over at this point, and she's just starting like this new career. Of course, she's
Like
a
a
little
new
younger,
phase.
but yes, but a new phase, and I love that.
Yeah.
We're never too old to start something new.
Absolutely. Well, I love looking at the new style of resumes also, especially with some of these young ladies that are applying to be in the pageant system that have, or any new jobs with like QR codes and the way
yeah.
that they expand on their cover letters and
Yep.
Yeah, I love the
that's
way the way that times have changed that way.
Well,
so
Angela and I did not mention this in our chat list in the beginning, but we missed Natasha
sorry.
when we went to the Health Center Theater a
Yes.
couple weeks back and went and saw Fiddler on the Roof.
Traditions.
We knew that you were going to sing it, right? It was so much fun,
It
though.
was so good.
It was so good.
Girl,
so
yay.
good.
It was
Yeah.
so good. But we had talked after we wrapped up last time that you played the fiddle.
Yes.
And so when we saw that little fiddler up there on the roof, I'm like, oh, Natasha.
Someday I will make time. I know.
But
I
we'll
need
go
to
again.
rethink my
I think
ways.
that we need to. We
Oh,
need to
it-
do like a quarterly activity together.
It
Yes.
was just refreshing.
It was.
Maybe it's time for another Studio Chatter Girls Night Out too, right?
Oh, yeah, we haven't done that.
We haven't planned one of those for a long time,
No.
Pete.
You know what? it takes work and effort, and I feel like we're
And
all
we're
at
all
full
done with that.
capacity.
Oh,
So,
Anyway, it was fun, but we missed you.
well, and when we come back, we don't film for 2.5 weeks. Will you be another year older?
I will be.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Another
Happy
year wiser,
29.
right?
I know, is someone planning you a party?
Maybe, I don't know.
You would want a party seat. Negative.
Yeah.
I take my
I'm not
place.
getting older, I'm just getting wiser.
Yes. More
Happy
beautiful.
birthday.
Happy
Thanks for
birthday.
being here with us. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you learned something new, please tell a friend about us.